it's so overwhelming that massage would never even come on most people's radar, right? But it is something that, my hope is it will become something that people think of more and more as they're in these really stressful, long-term illness situations where they're like, okay, I know that massage isn't going to cure me, but they are an important part of my care team.
Buckle up for a new episode of the Be S.H.E podcast, the show where we have real and raw conversations to inspire and empower you to be seen and heard so you can create balance in everything you want in your life and business. I'm your host, Heidi Schock, and I'm excited to walk alongside of you on this journey of being seen, heard, and empowered. Welcome to the Be S.H.E podcast. Be seen, be heard, be empowered. I'm your host, Heidi Schock, and I'm excited to be back with you here today and with my special guest. Now, I don't know if many of you know, but I have two podcasts. So we do the Be S.H.E podcast. This was my first one for all of you listeners. This is my baby. And then we created another one when we went into more of the done for you marketing space of helping entrepreneurs and business owners. And we started the Business Growth Spotlight podcast. Well, I met Cara through that podcast, my guest today. So I am honored that she said yes to being here with me and y'all today because she has an incredible journey and story. And I was like, you have to be with my women on the Be S.H.E podcast. And she was gracious enough to say yes. So without further ado, welcome Cara Thurman to the Be S.H.E podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so nice to see you again, Heidi.
It's fantastic seeing you, Cara. And real quick, before we dive in and you share your journey and your story, I'm going to just give everybody a little background about you, okay?
Perfect.
So Cara Thurman, CMT, is a nationally certified massage therapist, entrepreneur, and founder of Vinings Massage and Wellness, a lifelong congenital heart patient. Her journey through multiple open heart surgeries inspired her to bring compassionate clinical massage therapy into medical settings. After discovering the power of massage therapy during her recovery, she pursued training in oncology and massage therapy and has since become a national educator and leader in integrative care. Her practice supports people facing cancer, chronic illness, and their caretakers. VMW also partners with major hospitals to provide patient-facing massage therapy services, bridging the gap between traditional medicine and therapeutic touch. So, Cara, I usually ask this question of all my guests. Sure. Is this something that you started or you're doing because of a journey you went through or a passion that you had? And we already know now that it was a journey that you went through and the care that you received. So can you tell us more about your journey and how you fell into how you massage supported you?
Sure, of course. So, as I said in my bio, I was born with a congenital heart defect. I was born towards the end of the 70s. So, back in the day, we really didn't have a lot of the interventions that we have now. And so I started to show symptoms around 6 weeks old. And once I was diagnosed, they told my parents if I lived until I was 5 years old, they may be able to do some surgery to help me. And so what happened was I was sick enough and medicine had come along enough that by the time I was 2 years old, I had my first open heart surgery, followed by my first stroke. And I was in a coma for several weeks. And then I did recover as a child. I had open heart surgery again at 4, at 12. And then I went for my fourth open heart surgery in 2009. I was about 29, 30 years old, and I was working at the time as I actually owned my first company called Blues Garden. We had a organic vegetable farm and did a CSA for 45 families up in the Shelburne, Vermont area. But I started to get sick. It kind of it turned out that the doctors were like, it's time for another surgery. There's a lot going on. And so I was out of work while my husband at the time was my boyfriend, who's my husband now, at the time was going to work every day. And I had a lot of time to kind of sit around, not feel good, and be like honestly very scared and stressed, and it's an experience that a lot of young people don't have, thank goodness. It really was very hard, and so at some point he's actually the one that was like, we should find a massage therapist or someone that you can work with that might just help you with your anxiety, help you just have something you can work on to get yourself physically and mentally ready for this surgery. So I found a woman up in Burlington. Her name was Susan. And she literally changed my life. We worked together for several months leading up to my surgery. My surgery ended up being a 12-hour, like deeply invasive, very, very hard recovery. It was about a 4.5 month recovery. And once I was well enough to get out of the hospital and out of my home, I went back and saw her more. She helped me through not only stress and anxiety, but the pain of healing and the psychological things that come with being a young person who has a very severe illness. And so I don't believe she was trained in oncology massage. That's not what she was calling what she did, but I do believe she was doing that work. And while I was recovering, I looked into going to massage school because it really did feel like that was my calling. And I found a school that I could do my first training while I was still in school. A lot of times, this is a training that you'll do after you're licensed for several years, but I knew this was the specialty I wanted to go into. So, yeah, I guess about almost a year after that open heart surgery, I started massage school in January.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And I'm sure I can only imagine, might be getting ahead of our conversation, but I can only imagine how beneficial you helping others go through this is also part of your healing journey as well.
Oh, 100%. And that really moves into more of my story of building Vinings Massage and Wellness, building an oncology massage team that we work together. We share patients, we share notes, the anxiety, the stress, the hardships that come with it, all of that care that you really can't put really can't figure out what that weight is, right?
Yeah.
And quarterly dinners and lunches together to really be able to support each other. And so that's kind of what it eventually turned into. And it's been amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So one, I there's so much that you shared there that I can't even like fathom being on either side of it. One, your parents, watching their child as a parent. I couldn't even imagine my child going through one heart surgery, let alone four, and or how many you've had. So I can only imagine how scary it was for them, especially when the doctors say if she makes it to five, then we'll be able to do open heart surgery. So my heart goes out to them and you as well moving through the process and at different stages of your life there must have been different fears that have come up for you as a young child. You're scared, you don't know what's going on, you're kind of like just be doing what you're told, and in the meantime you're seeing all these other children out there playing, doing different things. And I'm sure that you weren't unfortunately able to do a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of stuff I was not able to do. I think my parents did their best I grew up in the 80s and 90s, so, and up in Massachusetts. So I think they did their best to like, oh, everything's normal. We didn't talk about it a lot unless there was a crisis happening right now. We moved through those,
Yeah.
got the help we needed, and then cruised until the next thing. And I think in a lot of ways that was really helpful for me, right? Like
Yeah.
they had me play youth soccer. They had me,
Nice.
doing
Yeah.
all these things. I did gymnastics. I mean, I was never good at any of them, but all the things you put your
You were
kids to see
active. Yeah.
what they want to do. I also have two brothers. So I have an older brother and a
Mhm.
younger brother who are both very healthy and were very good athletes. So it was interesting. I'm sure it was very stressful for them, for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm a mother myself now. I have a little boy who just turned 15 last
Um,
week, so he's not little anymore, but he was part of my journey with him is that because of my heart condition, he was a very small preemie. He was 3 pounds when he was born at
um,
30 weeks gestation. And so I hadn't gone into labor, but he had gone into distress about 28 weeks. So we knew he was going to come early. And so now knowing what I've gone through with him, I just can't, yeah. I mean, it had to be very, very stressful. But they're
yeah.
still together, which is kind of a miracle. I think a lot of parents of chronically ill children, that's a tough thing to stay together through.
Yeah, it is, and I'm so glad to hear that. I know I have friends that have moved through some things with her with their child, and they made it through, and I'm so happy that they did. So this has been something you've had all your whole entire life that you've moved through,
Yep.
and finding massage therapy. Thank goodness for your husband for
Yes.
getting that idea out there, because
Yes.
it fascinates me because I know how therapeutic massage can be just for in general because I've used to have massages a lot, and it's relaxing and it's therapeutic, and you always feel a little better, also a little more tired
Yep.
because you're moving those toxins through your body. I
Yep.
never would have thought that it would be beneficial also for oncology patients. And so I love that you're doing this. And I'm sure a lot of people in the medical field didn't really probably realize it as well. So did you have any challenges when you decided, is this well known in your space of massage therapy, or is this something that you had to really like educate the medical
So
industry
it's been a
of like,
long,
good?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a long journey. There's been a lot of challenges. And the other thing with oncology massage and massage therapy in general in our country is we're really working to become more of a overall, we're trying to create standards that are nationwide, where right now it's very different state to state and sometimes even school to school. We're working on that, and that can be a problem. So with these oncology trainings, they start off with just a few days, right? And so you really need to take, if you're interested in doing this type of work, you really need to know that it's going to be a many year investment because you're going to go to different classes taught by different institutions, different conferences. You really need to be kind of gathering information because there's no certification set up for us. So that's one thing. I did my first class before I even got licensed. And then throughout the years, I just kind of kept going to classes and conferences, really building my knowledge and not really being able to do this work. So I got my hands on a lot of different people in great work, but just not this particular work. And so it really wasn't until I came to Atlanta. I had lived in Minnesota, Arizona, maybe one other state since I've been licensed, and kind of reached out a little bit specifically in Arizona to oncologists and literally no response. And so when I came to Atlanta, I worked for someone else and then I started my own. I started as a solo practitioner in 2012 and I started to market directly towards oncology patients, knowing that this really was what I wanted to get going. I wanted to specialize in this. So honestly, I think oncology patients were looking for this. I mean, there's a lot of as oncology massage therapists, we're working with side effects. So we're working to decrease the negative side effects, such as anxiety, depression, nausea, lack of sleep, those kind of things. We're really targeting the nervous system and trying to get these people out of fight or flight and just help them increase quality of life. Just have a minute or two of solitude, maybe even feeling good in their body for the first time since they've been diagnosed. So I started to build up a little bit of a clientele, and unfortunately, my patients from then have passed at this point, but they did. One of my patients did introduce me to my first hospital contract, and she said, you really need to bring this to the wellness center. We really would love to have someone that is experienced, but also reliable. And then it kind of just grew from there. And we do both patient facing and employee facing massage in the hospital systems in Georgia. So, I mean, my mission is definitely twofold. The care that I've gotten over my lifetime.
Mhm.
I've seen some nurses and doctors and surgeons and people in the hospital who have really changed the way that my care was received because of their ability to do their job so well. And so they need to be taken care of also. So it's been kind of a long journey. It's very satisfying. And I should just make sure that everyone knows it's called oncology massage because that's how we are trained to work specifically with cancer patients. But this massage is really actually very good for any chronic illness or long-term illness. I have actually worked with cardiac patients, neurological, so Parkinson's disease, that kind of stuff. This kind of work can be extremely helpful. There's studies that have come out that show that if we can get massage therapists doing this type of work into a hospital system, 12 to 24 hours post-surgical of open heart surgery patients, their pain overall is better, their long-term recovery is better. So this is really amazing work. It's still very, very unknown in the medical
Right.
space. We've made some progress. It's still very unknown. And as everyone knows with medicine these days, it's just such a hard, really business at this point. It can be very tough to get these programs started, but I've been lucky enough to grow my business to the point where this is my job now. My job is outreach, education, advocacy, and really finding partners to grow these programs and get this service to more and more people.
Yeah. So basically, it's spreading the word. So for those of you listening, if you know somebody that's going through cancer, we all know someone that's moving through cancer or has gone through it. Please share this because we don't know what we don't know. Right. And a lot of people in the medical space, they're trained doctors who are trained in their specific area with their specific therapies and procedures. And they're not massage therapy is not taught in the medical school. So this is like an outside of the box type of
Yeah.
add-on is how it's seen for treatment. So we need to be spreading the word and getting more patients involved and also their voices heard. We want this treatment added to our regimen, right? Because there are not, it's, we shouldn't just be relying on one form of treatment for our recovery. We should be mixing and blending. And I've heard so many people recover in different ways. What worked for one person has not worked for the other. But with massage therapy, it is something that can benefit everybody. Just think about when you've gotten a massage and you're not even going through any specific medical treatment, or you're not going through a diagnosis, you're not moving through a diagnosis. Just think of how it's benefited you. And I can see from just physical touch, these people feel alone.
Yeah.
They are scared, and having just those hands placed on you in a loving, supportive way just shifts mindset, right?
Yeah.
Shifts the nervous system, like you shared.
Yes.
And that they may not be able to get because their family's nervous system could be all ramped up from
Oh,
hearing
everyone
this
around them,
diagnosis.
for
Yeah,
sure.
everybody's stressed. They're worried for their loved one. They're thinking that they've got all these different thought processes moving through their head. And this poor person that's going through it, it's not poor, but I'm saying this person that's going through it is scared and nervous too.
Yeah.
And they need somebody that's calm and grounded and can offer support in a different way. Not to say their family's doing anything wrong. They're just processing it in their own way. And then not only that, the physical touch, but also the circulation, right? The circulation
Well, we
provides.
actually work in a very, very light touch. So we're not
Right.
actually doing circulatory massage. And that's because of different contraindications. People have higher risk of blood clots and things like that.
Ah,
So we're not doing
that
the massage
movement.
that's
Right.
circulatory. We're really, like I said, we're specifically targeting that nervous system. We're using light touch, slow movements. We're really trying to take them out of fight or flight, really kind of take them out of that space for a minute and let them have a little bit of relaxation. Let their system remember, oh, I can do this. My
Mm,
naturally, I'm supposed to switch back and forth. If I'm not
right.
being chased by a lion, I'm supposed to switch back to this and I'm supposed to be able to rest and I'm supposed to be able to think and I'm supposed to be able to process things. And so we're really just, I mean, it seems so silly, but it's very, very important because when you're in that heightened state, it's very, very hard for just every little thing seems harder. We as practitioners are able to meet them where they are that moment. So if they're in a moment where they're saying, I'm done with the chemo, I don't want to do this anymore, or like, I'm in so much pain, I just had open heart surgery, we're not telling a family member or a caregiver that they're trying to be brave for and say, oh, no, it doesn't hurt that bad, or oh, no, this is fine, I'm okay, right? They can tell us how they feel. They can tell us things that maybe they wouldn't tell other people. And one of the things these programs, what we're doing too, is just really trying to knock down barriers to care, right? So there's barriers to care for people with, if you have a pay system, if you have a system where they have to leave the hospital and go somewhere else to get their massage. So one of the things we're really trying to work with medical systems on is really truly integrating this work so we can come to the person when they're getting their infusion. So they have to
Mhm.
sit there for 4 to 6 hours anyway. So why not send a massage therapist to them? It can
Right.
also really give a lot of relief to their caretaker, whoever brought them there that day, right? Oh, I can go get a cup of coffee or I can go make a phone call because I know you're here with my loved one and you're going to be staying with them and you're going to be present with them. So there's a
Mm.
lot of things that it's very different than your regular massage or your traditional massage. And it's very different than your traditional healthcare in our country, but it is something that can be easily integrated and can really, really improve quality of life. And even some studies, there are studies showing quality of recovery. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. And it was really eye-opening what you said. Like the sooner we can get in there, the less pain that they have after surgery and through their recovery or after their chemo treatment. So the sooner the better for adding this in. Not to say don't ever add it in, but
Of
the
course.
sooner that
Of
you get it
course.
in, it's always going to
Yeah.
be
Yeah,
beneficial.
and I wasn't able to have my massage therapist come into the hospital at the time. I really didn't know enough about this work. That's not what she was doing. I recovered in the hospital just like regular anyone would recover, and it was fine. But knowing what I know about the not only the pain of recovery, but also just the psychological recovery that you have to go through after something like that. My hope is that we can allow more people to have this option while they're still in a hospital or while they're there for their infusion or their radiation treatment. Just make it as easy for them as financial, take away the financial barriers. So that's why I'm always looking for people to help with funding to set up these programs.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very different way of thinking about massage. I think it can be very, for a lot of healthcare workers, it can be a little bit like, whoa, no, massage doesn't belong in here. And so again, that's why I'm consistently kind of trying to come out and say, I really, this is like super close to my heart. I truly believe this is a way to care for people that can really change a lot of outcomes for people.
Yeah, and you lived it, you moved through it, and I love the passion that you radiate from it, and that you found this calling with something that you went through yourself. So that's beautiful that you're supporting others that have that you understand their pain, you understand what they're going through emotionally, physically, mentally, you understand all of it. And I think that's really powerful when you're walking into a medical conference or a hospital and you're sharing like this is why I'm doing what I'm doing,
Yeah.
because you fully understand what they're going through. And then to hear it from the patients as well. And we need more patients knowing that it's available so that
Yeah.
they can advocate for themselves. Even patient advocates need to know about this because they can support the patients in advocating, because a lot of patients don't even know how to advocate for themselves. They take what they're told and go, okay, because we don't know. We don't know. We don't know.
Right. And
Right.
it's such an overwhelming experience, whether it's cancer or you have some sort of heart condition and they're telling you you have to have open heart surgery, or your partner or yourself, you got diagnosed with Parkinson's and you're starting to look into like what's coming next. It's so overwhelming that massage would never even come on most people's radar, right? But it is something that my hope is it will become something that people think of more and more as they're in these really stressful long-term illness situations where they're like, okay, I know that massage isn't going to cure me. I know that my massage therapist is not going to come in here and do surgery or give me an intravenous IV, but they are an important part of my care team.
Well, we hear about the power of this body self healing and how miraculous and amazing our bodies actually are when we give it the tools and the love and the support it really needs. And that includes really protecting your nervous system and coming back to zero. I'm going to call it zero because it's just like baseline of where you're calm and you're grounded, even though you've got all this stuff happening. It's always good to bring your body back to that so that the body has time to heal and recover. Because when we're all anxious and excited, the insides of our bodies and our cells are doing this the same thing. They're mimicking it. So even for them to have whatever it is, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour, how with you, because I know that it's not deep tissue or anything, it's just calming and relaxing. They can
Yeah.
have that ever so often. That's hugely beneficial because that's going to help them sleep better, which
Yeah.
sleeping will also improve their recovery. So many people now are healed from cancer, and anything that we can do to support that from the inside out is fantastic.
Yes.
And
And
these
that's why we
treatments are
work with
really harsh on
survivors
them.
too. Yeah. And that's why we work into survivorship too, because as you were saying, once you're cured from cancer, there's still a lot of stresses that if you have never been a cancer patient, you would never think of, right? But there's always recurrence. There's other things that the chemo or radiation may have damaged. A lot of times people have heart valve damage from either chemo. And so these are secondary kind of conditions that come from having had cancer treatment. And so for some people, even when they've come out of cancer treatment, they're still a patient and sometimes for the rest of their lives. Their life has changed. And again, one of the big things this work does is just kind of help people have the time, will have the space to feel what they're feeling, to maybe feel better from the work if that's going to happen that day, right? And or to cry or to scream or whatever they need to do and to really just be seen and have it all be about what they need in that moment. And that can be so healing just in itself, right? And there's no patient that is too sick for us to work with. There are times like post open heart surgery or post surgical. A lot of times we're not going to be doing a lot of work, but we can do some footwork, we can do some energy heals, I mean holds. So we're kind of meeting that person where they are that day with what they need. And then into survivorship, still being there to make sure that we understand what is your body's new normal and how do we keep you safe while maybe adding back some more regular type of massage, like going a little bit deeper, working on like an actual knot in your shoulder or something. But how do we do that if you've had lymph nodes removed and keep you safe from lymphedema, right? So it's a good thing to find someone who has this training because lifelong you can kind of through different stages hopefully be able to receive work in a safe way that makes you feel confident and does not create more stress.
So I know that you're out there educating, and your goal is visibility, right? Let's get, we have to be seen, because the more that we're seen, the more we can educate. To get in front of, you've got so many people to get in front of. You've got the
Yes.
patients, you've got the survivors, you've got the family members, because anybody, and maybe the patients can't be reached because they're just
Yeah.
they're in
Yeah.
it. So family members like your husband, when had
Yeah.
advocated for
Exactly.
you, they can
Yeah.
advocate for them. The doctors, the medicals, into space itself. I don't know. I'm missing the word that I'm looking for, but
Well, I'd say nurse navigators, social workers, people who are really in those
advocates. Yeah.
positions that are really all about patient care and care of the whole family unit, right? Because
Right.
as you said earlier, when I was going through what I was going through as a child, that's a whole family. Your whole family unit is in it.
So you're out there doing it, getting out there, being seen and educated, educating all these people. That's your purpose,
Yep.
and that's your role. Now, when you decided to go on into your own practice and build or your own business, were there? I mean, you've dealt with probably the biggest fear anybody's listening has maybe dealt with, and I'm not lessening anybody's fear, but you went through open heart surgery multiple times. There's fear there, that there's many different fears that show up there. Did you have fear that you move through? This is a different type of now thing you're stepping into, unknown, right? What did you have fear, or were you like, you know what, I know this is important, I've got this, and I'm going to go do it? Or, and if you did have fear or things that were kind of like is getting you to step out of your comfort zone, how did you handle it? What were some things that supported you?
So I'd say this, I'm very extroverted and I'm very much a people person. I love people, I love meeting people, I love connecting with people. But I will say that I have had a lot of fear and most of it is probably around something like imposter syndrome or something like that, right? Where you just, because I'm not a medical professional, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse. And so sometimes stepping into these medical settings or conferences where everyone's got like all these years of education and they know everything about the body, or they specialize in this one thing and they're like really really smart, it can feel very intimidating for sure. I have a college education, but I did not go to medical school, and so it can be a little bit overwhelming to try to help medical teams understand the value of this, because also our values don't necessarily show up in blood work. They don't necessarily
Right.
show up on an x-ray. It's hard. The data that we collect is more of a sociological data, and that's not always something that is valued at the same level when it comes to funding in medical settings. So for me, I think the most scary thing, and I still get nervous. I still get very nervous because I am so passionate, and so this is like my life mission, and so it feels sometimes can feel overwhelming to try to get that across in a way that shows the value of what we do. And that's why I'm very grateful for the research that's come out over the last, I don't know, decade or so. We've had a lot more research, and so I can actually refer to papers now and peer-reviewed articles and things like that. So that's been very helpful. I'd say the scariest part is just knowing how hard this is and continuing to be like, this is what I want to do. I've actually had business coaches and people over the years tell me, you're never going to be able to do that. Like, you're going to have to find something else to do. Like, you can keep doing that, but you're never going to actually be successful. I have gotten to the point where I realize I have to take the little wins as big wins, because they are big, right? Because they're big because this is so new and this is so different than what we're used to. And so even if it's a small program that's once a month, that's a win. It's not ideal. I'd love to be there 5 days a week, but we've got to keep, it's just about continuing to get out there, continuing to identify our cheerleaders within these institutions, people who truly see the value in what we do and really do want to help us get these programs funded and get them integrated for people. So I think that's the most scary thing, is that there's nothing to look to and say, this is how X, Y, and Z did it, so I'll do it like that.
Right. Yeah,
You know,
success leaves clues, and you don't really have those clues in what you're doing. Yeah.
yeah, and
And
there
doctors
are
like
some,
data. They like to see numbers and results and
yes,
yeah, on paper, like clear
yes,
data.
yes. And not, yeah, and they like to see specific one, like they want to see blood counts and they want to see. So at the end of the day, oh, I feel like I was going to say one other thing to you. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So there are institutions, wonderful institutions that have massage therapy somewhat integrated. MD Anderson, and I believe maybe Dana-Farber or somewhere up north. So I'm not saying it's like completely not happening at all, but it is hard. It's hard to get them truly integrated. Some of these are first payer systems, which it just leaves out a lot of patients in a way that's hard for me, because that I understand why they do it and it's better than not doing it, but that's not what I want.
No, I hear you. So, what can you let our listeners know how they can connect with you and how we can support you? Because you are in, well, like I'm in Florida. So, if I know of a place that I could be like introduce you to, is that even possible? Or do you need to really be, are you slowly trying to find people in different areas to like kind of spread the word where they are? How does
Yes,
that work?
so I am happy. I traveled to Florida for retreats for young breast cancer survivors and for other cancer survivors. So we travel, our team travels. I certainly travel. I have the ability to set up these programs in other states. I have the ability to come down and educate different massage therapy teams. Say there was a massage therapy practice near you that wanted all of their therapists to be oncology trained. I could come down and do that training for the team. So there's a lot of different ways I can work with people. People can find me on LinkedIn. It's Cara Thurman. And then we have an Instagram for Vinings Massage and Wellness. I believe it's Vinings_massage. And we also have a Facebook. And then I can, if you want to put my email address in the show notes, I
Okay.
would love people to reach out.
Perfect. So we'll have all of Kara's information and bio, all that good stuff, as well as the links that you can connect with her in the show notes. But definitely connect with her. Most of us know someone, if it hasn't been us ourselves, that are going through or have gone through cancer. So this is not something that we are not all touched in some way. If you know of anybody that could benefit from hearing Cara today or learning more about what massage therapy can do for them in their recovery, and it doesn't just necessarily need to be oncology or in cancer, it can be other types of things that they're going through medically as well, then have them connect with Cara. If you're in the medical space and you think this would benefit your facility and your patients, then definitely reach out to Cara to learn more. Again, right now, education matters. We don't know what we don't know, and knowledge is power, and more knowledge can't hurt, right? So, Cara, before I let you go, is there a fun fact about you that we wouldn't know by going to your website or seeing or checking out your social media behind the scenes of Cara?
I think of two right off the top of my head, but I did mention earlier that I had a farm, but I'm a huge gardener. I love gardening. I love growing tomatoes and basil and food in my yard. And then the other one would be just that I'm a very sarcastic kind of funny person, and so sometimes when I'm making these or out in public, I try to kind of tone it down a little bit. But I'm also I'm just a very kind of fun loving, outgoing person.
Ah, I love that. I can tell that about you. So
Oh,
last question is if you could have lunch with anyone, alive or deceased, who would it be and why?
that is a great question. Let me think. I think, honestly, the first thing that came to my mind was Michelle Obama.
Yeah?
I just think she's such a cool lady. And I also always kind of think of people who might like be excited by the mission and be able to help
Yeah.
move it forward. So I would love to have lunch with her. Yeah, that's just the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And you're in good company because I've had one or two other women who have been on the podcast share her. So we're going to have to start building a community of the Michelle Obama
I
group
know.
and then reach out to her for maybe coordinating a lunch. And she would be great for as an advocate and proponent for what you're doing for sure.
Yes.
So, yeah, absolutely. I love it. I didn't get to ask you, is this just for adults? So not teenagers, children who are
We
moving
can
through
also
cancer?
work with pediatric
Okay.
patients. We do work with them a little bit differently, meaning they do have to have a parent or guardian in the space with us. So with adults, if you have someone that brought you to infusion and they want to go have coffee or whatever, they can. If we were to work with pediatric patients, either in hospital rooms, in an office setting, or in a chemotherapy suite, the guardian would need to be with them at all times.
Yeah, absolutely. It was good to know. So if you have, I know I had friends that their son is a cancer survivor. So if you know of any children, to let the parents know that this is available to them and to have them connect with Cara because this is really scary. I'm no matter whether you're an adult or a child, but the children don't understand at all what's going on. So this could be highly supportive for both the parents and the children involved.
Yeah.
So please, for those of you listening, please reach out to Cara. Let her know you heard her here, and go connect with her, learn more, and because she's pretty amazing and she's funny too. She's fun. So thank you, Cara, for being here with me today. I so appreciate you. So blessed and honored that I got to talk with you twice on our podcast. And thank you again for your time. Thank you all for listening to us today on the Be S.H.E podcast. Go be empowered to be seen and heard. And I'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you.